I think it's whatever time the mayor wants to.
If anybody wants to speak tonight, would you please fill out a speaker card? Do it. Care to speak? And we're going to go ahead and call our Inconsiderable Community Redevelopment Agency meeting to order for September 19th. We're going to have public participation, but nobody filled out a card, so we won't have public participation. Okay, our first item on the agenda is to
Excuse
approve
me,
the...
Mayor,
I'm
we're
sorry?
gonna call the roll.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Technically, not mayor.
you're right.
That's all right.
Chair.
Call the roll, please. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Wait, my pen
Yeah.
is sorry.
Board Member Brown,
Here.
Chairperson Hoag,
Here.
Vice Chair McMillan,
Here.
Board Member Randalls,
Present.
Board Member Walsh.
Okay, we can go ahead and move on to our first item. Let's approve the minutes for the Community Redevelopment Agency Board meeting. This is, says August the 16th.
That's in the minutes for last year,
Good.
August 16th last year.
Oh, 2016, so what? She did this.
Refrigerator here.
So we'll have a discussion on the minutes that we have before us. Draft item number 1. I read your own, I didn't have any questions. Discussion? We'll have a motion, second.
Move we approve the minutes from August 16th, 2016.
Second.
No, the last.
We were there.
The last CRA. Yeah, sure.
I thought so, that's.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we have a motion by
I already read it.
Board Member McMillan and second by Mike Brown.
Board Member Brown,
Here.
Chairperson Hoag,
Or,
I mean,
Vice-
4, I'm sorry, 4.
sorry, we know you're Mike.
Vice Chair McMillan,
Or.
Board Member Randalls,
For the motion.
Board Member Walsh.
Okay, our next item is to approve the fiscal year 17 and 18 Community Redevelopment Agency Board Schedule and Financial Reporting Requirements. Discussion, Mr. Street, you want to weigh in on this?
Basically, this is part of the required activities that we do at a meeting each year. And in this particular instance, once again, we were wanting to track the regularly scheduled city council meeting that occurs. And in this instance in particular, we have a number of items to deal with, but the meeting schedule itself is simply the third Tuesday of November, the third Tuesday of March, the third Tuesday of June, and the third Tuesday of September. That does coincide with regularly scheduled city council meetings. And so we would just need to proceed forward with the recommendation so that we can take care of that housekeeping item. As you may recall, what we typically do is if there is no business items for the CRA board to consider, we merely go ahead and go through the notification process of canceling the meeting, and it's worked very well so far for us to do it in that fashion. And we do put this information in a number of places on our website and others, just so that we're fully transparent, meet the state requirements, etc.
Okay. Anybody have anything they want to discuss? But we'll start down on the end, or Betty just came in, so we'll just get to you, Betty, if you have anything on this. We're on item number 2 for the approval for the redevelopment agency board schedule and financial report. Have anything, or
Nope.
Rocky?
Nope. Are you looking for a motion to approve it, Mr. Chair?
I'm down to this far, we can do that. Nobody has anything, so we're ready to go.
Okay,
Go
I
ahead,
would
Adam.
move to approve the fiscal year 2017 and 2018 Community Redevelopment Agency Board meeting schedule and financial report of departments as presented.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Randall, and a second by Mayor Pro Tem McMillan for the approval of 2017-18 Community Redevelopment Agency Board meetings and schedule of financial reporting. Call the roll.
Board Member Brown,
4.
Chairperson Hoag,
4.
Vice Chair McMillan,
4.
Board Member Randalls,
For the motion.
Board Member Walsh.
Next, item number 3 is our resolution number CRA 05, adopting a budget for the Cape Canaveral Community Redevelopment Agency for the fiscal year 2017, provided for repeal of prior inconsistent resolution, severability, and effective date. CRA Board Attorney reads the title. I guess you can read the title.
Yes.
Resolution number CRA-05, a resolution of the City of Cape Canaveral Community Redevelopment Agency adopting a budget for the Cape Canaveral Community Redevelopment Agency for fiscal year 2017-2018, providing for the repeal of prior inconsistent resolutions, severability, and an effective date. Mr. Chair.
Okay, bring it up to the board. Any discussion?
Just one comment. I noticed that the operating budget is $11,000 a year, and our total budget is $1.1 million. Kudos to have a 1% operating budget. Not so bad.
Thank you. Yes, we want to be sure that we utilize as much of the available revenues and the revenue stream as possible to accomplish certainly the mission, if you will, of the Cape Canaveral Community Redevelopment Agency, and those dollars, going forward. There is a lot of scrutiny these days directed towards CRAs for some, I guess I just may as well call it like it is, the bad actors that seem to be getting a closer look, and certainly we are part of the crosshairs. I would think that once again in the upcoming legislative session, we'll see the Florida legislature direct its attention towards CRAs, and perhaps they'll limit them further. We certainly hope not, because they do really great things for communities and help solve issues within the respective areas of the cities and county governments that have CRAs. In this case, we do recommend the council adopt resolution number CRA-05. The overall budget is $1,158,731. The city's contribution is just slightly less for this upcoming year as compared to Brevard County's contribution. From an overall point of view, we are continuing to attempt to work with the county on an interlocal agreement, and once that is resolved and approved by the County Commission as well as the Cape Canaveral City Council, and there are some things that are very important to be in that agreement from the Cape Canaveral viewpoint. That's the point in time that we would want to address the interagency loan that's part of this as well between the city and the CRA that make some improvements within the community where the general fund or the general government is front-ending the dollars, and through the recent financing that we did and those kinds of things. But as time goes on, this will sort itself out. We, in all honesty, thought by now we might have a draft agreement from the county. We've been tracking where they are with other CRAs or cities, and essentially we've not noticed any real activity on the county commission side of approving agreements yet with the bulk, if not all, of the cities in Brevard County that have CRAs. So we'll kind of watch that, see how that plays out, and at some point there'll be an action for the city council as well as the CRA board, respectively.
Mr. Green, do you have a feel as to when the county may schedule that for a discussion?
in kind of all candor, we thought they perhaps already would have. The city attorney and the board attorney, David Dickey, and I met with the county attorney and the county manager several weeks ago at this point, and we had the general understanding that they were going to proceed forward with preparing a draft agreement to send us for our comments and all. And the difficulty in this situation is that apparently the county manager and the county attorney are not really going to make recommendations, or at least we have that feeling that they're not. So they're going to put in what the county wants into the agreement. Then it's up to us to vet it and get our positions back more clearly with the county, and presumably things will move forward from there. And I hate to say this, but it is what it is, that staff has met with a number of the county commissioners individually, and we have the impression from 4 of them that there is no real difficulty from their perspective with the Cape Canaveral CRA, what we're doing, as well as would be amenable to working with us on additional financings that pledge CRA revenues. As part of the overall discussion with the county staff, there was some discussion involving certainly Cherry Down Park, but since then the Commissioner Barfield and others, the TDC executive director, seem to be moving in another direction on Sheridan Park. Additionally, the county perhaps would want to not contribute more to the Cape Canaveral CRA than what the city does, and that's not an unreasonable request from their point of view. A couple of other things of interest: they would certainly like to see the CRA number of years rolled back somewhat, as an example, and those kinds of things. But when all the dust settles, I think we'll probably additionally see some language from them on holding down the overall administrative costs and expenses for the CRA to some modest number. And it's my feeling at this point we're well within that, particularly as compared to what some of the others are doing with their CRAs. But kind of roll that in. It's a loose end, and none of us like loose ends, but the ball is not in our court at the moment. It's in theirs. Then just as soon as we receive their written proposal, obviously the city staff and attorney will be going through it in depth, just to be sure we can find a way to get on the same page with them. Yeah.
My reason for being so inquisitive is I got a meeting with county commissioner for this East Coast Central Region Planning tomorrow, and I may want to
Yeah.
regurgitate your thoughts to him.
Yeah, I think, I mean, there have been a number of challenges for the county, and certainly with us as well recently. But I think our sense of feeling was that it would be 2 or 3 weeks, and we would get something from them, and I think that has since passed. And I do recognize that the county manager is rebuilding his staff and shuffling some folks and promoting others, and from largely within the organization. And so perhaps some of those things are holding it up a little bit.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Betty, got anything?
Nope, I'm good.
We're going to have public hearings if anybody wants to speak on this. Didn't have any cards, but we'll open it to you anyway. We'll close public hearing, bring it back to the council. Your motion?
Mr. Chair, I would move to adopt resolution number CRA-05.
Second.
A motion by Mayor Reynolds and a second by Mike Brown to resolution CRA-05. Call the roll.
Board Member Brown,
For the motion.
Chairperson Hoag,
Four?
Vice Chair McMillan,
Or
Board Member Randalls,
For the motion.
Board Member Walsh. 4.
Brings us to open discussion. Anybody have anything they want to? Nobody? Quiet. Some action here.
No,
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, nobody, we'll adjourn.
Another record for you, Mr. Chair.
It's been-
Very cool, that's another good reason. Right, well, I'll get that check to you.
I remember everybody were probably just shotgun it. It wasn't happening back.
No, forward it, or?
Your nice little. These are very nice.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He said, oh, that's. Yeah, well, we're ready for them. That's what I told everybody when I called you. I just want to be on. And that's what happens. I don't want to necessarily be the top.
I can't vote.
I'd like to make an announcement, please. If y'all want to speak tonight, we have speaker cards on the back table. If you would fill one out, please. Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order for City of Cape Canaveral Council for September the 19th. Pledge of allegiance, please. Mr. Brown, if you will give us the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Mayor Hogue.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McMillan.
Here.
Councilmember Randall.
Present.
Councilmember Walsh.
Here.
I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. And, we'll open up our meeting with public discussion. And we have a card from Penny Zurcher. Slaughtered that too bad.
No more than most people do. Hi, I'm Penny Zurcher. I live at 8657 Villanova Drive here in Cape Canaveral. My husband Jeff and I are very proud residents of the city of Cape Canaveral. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the School District of Brevard as well. And twice a month I sit in board meetings and I hear our board get beat up and complaints and fussed at. I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you how thankful we are for you guys in this city. We are so proud and talk to people who don't live here about the wonderful things you do for our city. From the improvements to our pedways, to the parks, to the city garden. I'm really proud to be part of this community and I can't wait to get involved with our city government in some ways. Thank you for everything that you do for our residents. You don't hear that enough. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're glad you're part of our community. Thanks. Okay, we have some interviews tonight that we probably aren't going to do, correct?
Correct.
That is correct, Mayor.
We will remove the item off of the consent agenda by a vote, please. Item number 2, you can have a motion and a vote.
We're just,
Just to remove it and to postpone it until next.
Yes, it would be a scheduled item for the October council meeting.
okay, I move that we reschedule the interviews until the next scheduled meeting in October.
I second.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem McMillan and a second by Councilwoman Walsh. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Brown,
For the motion.
Mayor Hope,
Four.
Mayor Pro Tem McMillan,
Four.
Councilmember Randalls,
Is for the motion.
Councilmember Walsh.
4.
Okay, then we can move to our consent agenda.
We have a presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have Dominic Montanaro here tonight. I'm sorry, Dominic. I thought we removed.
I think we may have to take him outside here and adjust him a little bit.
This is his first time, you know, it's,
Do we
I was
have to
told to
stand
hurry up
up,
and get this
Mr.
over with
President?
tonight.
I'm gonna try and be as brief as I can.
Sorry.
My name
Here
is,
goes blaming me.
my name is Dominic Montanaro. I live at 465 Glenwood Ave in Satellite Beach. And I want to thank you all for having me tonight. And it's really great to have a resident get up and say what she just said, because we don't get enough of that as people that sit where you sit. So I think it's great. Thank you so much for recognizing what they do. The reason why I'm here tonight is in January I take over as president of the Space Coast League of Cities. And just to give you a little background of me, I started on city council in 2002 on Satellite Beach. We have term limits. I termed out in 2009, came back in 12. I've served on several boards in our city prior to being on council. Altogether, I probably have close to 25 years of service in our community. And I think with all of that time, I kind of understand and know the dynamics of my city the same way that you all understand the dynamics of your city, what your residents expect, what they deem to be important to them. And going to Tallahassee for the number of years that I've been going, the mindset there has progressively gotten worse. They believe they know better what's best for the residents of Cape Canaveral than you do. They believe they know what's best for the residents of Satellite Beach than my council does. And when we look at some of the things that have happened in years past with vacation rentals, with different things that have happened in this last session, with House Bill 17, with them trying to tell you when you should have your city elections, with the new homestead exemption that's going to directly adversely affect your budget. These are just some of the things that are going on in Tallahassee. So I came home from Tallahassee in February, and I thought to myself, what's your initiative going to be for president in 2018? And many of you know Stu Glass. Stu is one of my mentors, and I talked to Stu and said, I'm thinking about engaging our communities as my initiative. And I kind of started talking with different people. We have a vast network of voices in our cities. I can call Debbie Mayfield, I can call Thad Altman, I can call Dorothy Huckel, but if 200 of your residents or 300 of your residents call, and 500 of mine do, and 600 from Melbourne, and 500 from Titusville call, it's a whole different message. So I talked with people at the Florida League of Cities. I am the vice president of the Florida League of Cities Advocacy Committee, and we are now working with the league to come up with the same way that you get an alert from the League of Cities that says House Bill 5 is coming up tomorrow, call so-and-so. They're going to start tailoring messages to our residents. So this is all in its infancy right now, but as we get closer to the session, we're going to know more of how this is going to play out. And I didn't realize that my initiative was going to morph into what it has, because President Gil Ziffer's initiative is Let Cities Work. So, I mean, it ties in the same way.
I'm leaving tomorrow night because there's a board meeting up in Atlantic Beach for the league. I am also on the pension trust fund and the construction trust fund, so I'm going to see some of the people up there. I'll know more what's going on when I come back from these meetings, but you have in place a mechanism. I know our city has a Facebook page. We also have email addresses of a lot of our residents, and we're looking at trying to put in place some kind of mechanism in every city, not only in Brevard County, but the Space Coast League and the Treasure Coast League are now jointly working together to get whatever the messages are to our residents. And that's kind of what I'm looking at, and I think it's probably going to grow this year, and I think it's going to grow with time. And I think the residents of our communities don't want to see some of the things that are being pushed down on us from Tallahassee, some of the unfunded mandates, the 5G stuff, the fact that you can't regulate vacation rentals in your city. You have hotels operating next door to residences that people live in and have to go to work the next day, and at 2 o'clock in the morning the sheriff's department is there trying to quiet people that live in your city. Well, that should be your ability to do that. And I see a lot of the things that are happening to our communities as adverse to our community. So that's my message. That's what I'm looking at doing. I hope that as we progress along at our Space Coast League of Cities meetings, we'll have more information to pass down to the cities in Brevard County. And if I can answer any of your questions, I'm more than happy to do that. But that's why I'm here, and I hope that we can move forward with this. Thank you very much.
If I have anything they want to talk about, Dominic?
No, except just to say thank you, because many years we have been up there talking, we've never really got the citizens to do the same thing we try to do. And I think that is, it seems now so simple, but it's never been tried.
I think a lot of the citizens don't realize what goes on up there, and I think this is our opportunity to let people that are residents understand the dynamics of how things come down and how they impact them. And it's not you impacting them, it's someone in Tallahassee impacting them. So that's, I think, the message we need to get out. And I thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. Mr. Green, thank you for having me and allowing me to be here. Bob, thank you very much.
Good
If
to
you
have you.
need me, you all know pretty much how to get a hold of me.
You know, it's a big uphill fight, so
Oh,
keep
yes,
right with you.
yes. And the more voices we have, the better off we are. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dominic.
Dominic. You can stay around if you want. We don't have any popcorn or soda or anything. Good seeing you, Dominic. See you, Billy. All right, buddy. All right. Okay, we'll get on to our other items here. Now, we pulled item 2, so we'll move on to the consent agenda, and we have items 1 through 10. We had pulled item 2, so we would move forward with items 1 through 10 excluding 2.
Item 1, please.
You want to pull item 1?
Yes.
Anybody else? We get a motion for the rest of the items? Vote.
I make a motion that we accept all the items except for number 1 on the consent agenda.
That would be items 3 through 10, correct?
Yeah.
We have a motion by Mr. Brown for items 3 through 10. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem McMillan. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Brown?
For the motion.
Mayor Hope?
Four.
Mayor Pro Tem McMillan?
Board.
Councilmember Randalls?
For the approval of the motion.
Councilmember Walsh?
Okay, we got item number 1 for discussion, and that happens to be the minutes, we believe.
I guess I'll field that one since I pulled it. Just wanted to make a I guess an expansion, because they are accurate in the way that I voted on the item regarding medical marijuana. It just says, but in the future, my concern is down the road, that if somebody reads the minutes, if, it's probably a pretty big if, but if somebody reads it, it shows that I voted to not support.
What section are you
Oh, I'm
on?
sorry.
Give us the, what paragraph, what section? You voted for 11.
Okay, under public hearing, item number 4.
4, public hearing, okay.
Yep.
Number 4, go ahead.
I'd just like it to make a note that I voted in support of the measure which prevented medical marijuana facilities in the city, but to give the city staff time to come up with an ordinance that will, in the future, allow those. So right now, just as a clarification, in case somebody down the road says, you voted against this and 71% of the people wanted it. So just a clarification in that
So I
respect.
think our intention was to put it on hold until we.
Correct.
Yeah, and
We didn't vote against it, we just put it on hold, basically.
because we had limited choices presented to us, frankly, at the last minute by the Florida legislature, it's treat them like pharmacies or disallow.
Just to make a note, at least on my behalf regarding me, that with the understanding that in the future it is to be addressed, and we're going to try and address it again.
We'll come back to it.
That's it.
Okay. So, you told number 1, do you want to put a motion on the floor to put number 1 back on the table to vote?
Move that we amend item 1, the minutes, under public hearing, item number 4, to show that it is with the understanding that it is understood that we will in the future potentially address this again.
Are you asking for an amendment or just to make a clarification?
Well, we can just make a clarification. I just wanted to make sure that we put it out there publicly. So if you just want to leave it like that, that's fine. Because it's kind of a hot button issue. I don't want to confuse this too much, but it's kind of a hot topic, and I just want to make sure that I'm out there.
Who's it coming back at us? We all know that.
So I move for approval as written of item 1 of the agenda.
Second. I'll just second it.
Approve it as written is what I'm suggesting.
Okay, then I would second that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem McMillan and by Mr. Randalls to accept item number 4 as written. And item number 1, I'm sorry, section number.
Mr. Mayor, may I just make a quick thought on that, because that's something that comes up a lot. People say, well, you didn't record what I said. Well, normally the minutes are recorded as what was actually done, and the individual sayings of who said what doesn't actually get in there. They're not verbatim. So I can see how it got missed or how it didn't get recorded, because they're a record of what was done at the meeting and not what was said by guests or members. Is that right, Mia, or am I just thinking?
Yeah, that's how they explain it. You can't record everything. You just,
Yeah, I second that, certainly.
We have a voice recording on record if anybody wants to question.
And
the
now,
intent of it.
now, of course, additionally, it's televised.
That's right, we're on YouTube, I forgot that.
You're on TV, so smart. Okay, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Brown?
4.
Mayor Hope?
4.
Mayor Pro Tem McMillan?
4.
Councilmember Randalls?
For the motion.
Councilmember Walsh?
Okay, that takes us down to our public hearings. And we have resolution 2017-23, adopting the final millage rate for the levy of ad valorem for the tax of the year 2017-18. That's item number 11 on our agenda. Mr. Attorney, would you read the title, please?
Resolution number 2017-23, a resolution of the City of Cape Canaveral, Brevard County, Florida, adopting a final millage rate for the levy of ad valorem taxes for fiscal year 2017-2018 on all taxable property located within the city of Cape Canaveral, Brevard County, Florida, providing for an effective date. This proposed resolution proposes to adopt a total final millage rate for all city operating purposes of 4.0190 mils on the upcoming tax roll, and that includes 3.9555 mils for general government millage and 0.0635 mils for the library dependent special district. Pursuant to Florida law, this is a public hearing. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, we open this up for discussion, council. I know we've all been through it. We know what we got, and if anybody has anything they want to add or change or talk about that would be different, or it's just kind of cut and dry. We're still one of the lowest of the Brevard County. We're like the third. We're down on the bottom, which is good to be on the bottom in this case. So,
Yes, it is. Although it's really hard for me now, you know.
I don't like to be on the top of something.
I have to work harder.
We're on the bottom, and it's great. But, nobody has any discussion up here, we'll bring it to the public. If y'all wanna, somebody has anything to say? I think, personally, I just like to, I think, I could commend our budget department, and our staff, and our manager, and all the staff, everybody pulled together, and we got us a real good low millage, and we're going to do a lot of good things this year. I can see it coming, and I want to put nothing but a thank you to our staff and our city manager. You guys have done great, really. I look at the other people's millage, I read the legals in the paper, I look at what they're doing, and I think, my God, we're great, we're doing good. With this closed public hearing, if nobody has anything to say, we'll bring it back up here for a motion or discussion.
Mayor, I would like to just express a thought hearing this first speaker that spoke about the vision that the little city here has and how we make an accomplishments, and thank you for that. We, as you know, don't often get many compliments. But every item in next year's budget is directly attached to one of the vision items. And if you took a little bit of time and read through the budget, all the capital improvements specifically tie in. And that goes to my real thought about this. You mentioned that we seem to be doing a lot of improvements. We have a very aggressive vision, which is the residents' vision. And my word of wit is not mine, but I got it from a quote. It says, "The truth about a city's aspirations isn't found in its vision. It's found in its budget." And that really tells the story. We could tell you, oh, we're going to do something, but until we put up the money, your money, to make it happen. And maybe the mayor can explain, or the city manager can just touch on the thing you mentioned about the children. Would you tell about the intergenerational center?
Oh, yeah, let me, let's have our leisure services guy do that. He can bring, this is something we're going to do that's quite different. It's in our vision of the city. We're gonna put a future generistic type building up, and it is gonna be fabulous. I'm gonna let Gus tell us, but it's his and Molly's baby. Too bad Molly's not here.
The cultural center,
Yeah.
or the
The
multi-generational?
multi-generational facility
Yeah,
as
so-
well as the Cape Center. Bob.
Okay.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yes, sir. Multi-generational building is going to be a incredible community engaging building. It's going to be hopefully 20,000 square feet, have indoor gym, teen room for our PAL kids and summer camp kids, indoor walking track. As you know, it gets really hot here. We're looking at incorporating a lot of sustainable features, some solar, LED, green wall features, rain gardens to deal with some of the stormwater issues, as well as some whimsical things in it that perhaps tie the first and second floor with a slide maybe an indoor rock climbing wall within the gym facility itself, fitness area, and hopefully a small convention room where we can do rentals, parties on the second floor overlooking the park. So it's going to be, as far as recreation, it's going to stand at the top of anything that you have anywhere around here. We're in the process right now of going with our CCNA, the contracts, to secure an architect. And so eventually once we go through that process, that'll come to you guys. But the beauty of that building is that it's sorely needed right now. What's there is a trailer that was donated by NASA that sorely needs replacing, and some outdoor basketball courts. So, and it was your guys' vision that brought that together, because that was well before I got here. So Mr. Green made it happen, and you guys made it happen. The Cape Center itself is a center for culture, arts, preservation, and engagement, and that is going to take place where the old City Hall is. That will be the project that will proceed the multi-generational center. And that's going to be an amazing cultural facility. It's going to obviously have art. It's going to be very engaging. It's going to be right in front of your plaza right there. And it's going to further stamp culture, arts, and preservation in the city. The city has a rich history that a lot of people have no clue about. And so staff is working on just bringing that up to the table and putting Cape Canaveral on the map as far as the arts. So, is that good, boss?
Can you shoot, Gustavo, can you shoot from the hip? Can you give me an approximate? I know you can't shoot from the hip to give me a date on the multi-generational center that you're shooting for. As far as being in operation. I know it's, you just shoot from the hip.
Okay, I'm gonna use the same projections as City Hall. So it's gonna be 1 year. So we're gonna go 1 year design, 1 year construction. So that's how we're planning.
Or 19, somewhere around.
Yeah, unless we can speed up the process somehow. But it so far it's looking like about 275 days for design, and then in the middle of that we'll work through the bidding process and then move on to construction.
Yeah, as a general rule of thumb, we use about 1 year for design and permitting, and then approximately another year pretty much for the construction process. And we would envision that this will be similar, although there are, as we know, a number of moving parts in this particular situation, because we have to move, once the City Hall current occupants move to the new building, Todd and others, and then after that we'll have to do some relocating and dealing with the needs ultimately of the PAL program and the youth center and those activities after we get the design and all those details worked out. So yeah, just as the City Hall building seems to have more moving parts every day, this one will as well. But yeah, approximately 2 years from now.
So you touched on it. If I could ask, maybe just expand a little bit. I skimmed over it. The intergenerational. We at one time was looking to build a new youth center. There was talk about building a senior center, and whichever one of those you built, you excluded the other. You couldn't build them both. So with the city manager's vision, he put them all in one building and at one location. And speaking as a senior, I can play cards or something till about noon, then I got to go home and take a nap. Well, that's probably true of a lot of us in the 80s. But the point is then the afternoon, when a lot of our children get out of school that don't have a home to go back to because there's one mother, one father, and they're working, this allows us to fully take over. We have after-school care here in our facilities. And that's the important part of calling it intergenerational. Kind of gets lost in the shuffle, I think.
Absolutely, as well as our summer camp. Right now we can only fit 25 kids. And so, Mr. Brown knows full well that if you don't go there and register the first week, good luck getting a spot for the 10 weeks of summer. I mean, it sells out with a waiting list. So this is going to do wonders for the community as far as being the further glue that ties the whole community together from, they say that you either pay up front, and that's a big deal with law enforcement. You either pay for it up front by offering services to people and keeping them engaged, or sometimes with youth and teen, you pay for it on the back end with law enforcement and a lot of the different issues that you have. You know, we have a great city here, but there are a lot of bored kids, and so when the youth center is fully operational, sometimes that can get 35 kids in one afternoon. And so this will be a great facility. And then in the evenings, we'll bring the adults and have adult, obviously, fitness classes, but also adult basketball, volleyball leagues. I mean, this is going to be a very busy building from beginning to end because, like you said, depending on the time of the day, a different segment of the city will use it. And so
It's much better than I could have explained it. Thank you.
you did a great job. Thank you, guys.
That'd be great. We don't have many, I should say kids, children in the city. We have teenagers. We got one of the best PAL things going, I think, Brevard County's ever seen. And we have children in the city, but we take care of our children. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great. But we got off of the, kind of into something we didn't. We're talking about ad valorem taxes.
Yes.
This is part of it, so we got a big project lined up for this year.
Yeah, our city attorney will need to say something for the record because this millage is higher than the rollback rate, as we all know, and so there's a requirement that we must meet in doing this. And I think Anthony's ready.
Mayor, I just need to publicly announce this, and then we'll just have to tweak the resolution just to incorporate this information, which you're all aware of. The rollback rate is 3.334%. The proposed total millage rate of 4.0190 represents 17.04% increase above the rollback rate. And that just needs to be publicly stated.
Anthony, would you repeat that, please?
Into the mic.
The,
As close as you can get.
Hello.
There you
So this is a little too close. Okay, so the rollback rate is 3.334, and the proposed total millage is 4.0190, and that represents a 17.04% increase above the rollback rate. That information just needs to be incorporated into the resolution as well.
Okay, that sounds scary.
Technical statutory requirement.
But we know what's going on.
And essentially, the rationale behind it, as we've discussed, is the cost of doing business in general to continue to provide the high service level that we provide to our community. And so we, like everyone else, is having a degree of cost creep, if you will. And then also, we have a very ambitious program fulfilling the community's goals and objectives and the vision as well. So when we roll all of those individual pieces together, this allows us to do that. And just an additional heads up, of course, next year, with I think some degree of certainty, the voters will have the opportunity to give themselves a reduction in taxes from the point of view of it will be on the ballot and increase to the homestead exemption or another component of the homestead exemption, and that does have a longer term impact on the city as well. So in anticipating those things, this fiscal year we also had to absorb the cost of 2 hurricanes in one fiscal year, and I think at this point, just try to clarify, I think we've received a grand total of just over $4,000 to date from FEMA.
From Matthew.
Yeah, from Matthew. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we're still doing trying to get that squared away. And now we will be going through a very similar process and pulling things together for Hurricane Irma as well. And I hope that's it for a while, a long while. Yeah. So there's a number of factors.
Okay. That's all. We got any other discussion we need to talk about? Betty? You all right? Everything? Okay, then we'll open for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, Randalls would move to adopt resolution number 2017-23 with the amended changes that the city attorney has brought forth publicly.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Randalls and a second by Mayor Pro Tem McMillan for resolution 1723. Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Brown.
4.
Mayor Hope.
4.
Mayor Pro Tem McMillan.
4.
Councilmember Randalls.
For the motion.
Councilmember Walsh. 4.
Okay, we're going to move on to ordinance 14, 2017, adopting the annual general fund. Mr. Darganese.
Okay, ordinance number 14-2017, an ordinance of the City of Cape Canaveral, Brevard County, Florida, adopting the annual general fund, wastewater enterprise fund, stormwater enterprise fund, enterprise capital fund, special revenue fund, capital project funds, and agency fund budgets for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2017, and ending September 30th, 2018, providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
Second.
Sorry,
Second reading.
second reading.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Green, you're gonna
I'll be very brief. We've covered this, of course, through workshops and then at first reading earlier this month. Staff would recommend City Council adopt ordinance number 14-2017 on second reading. Overall, it provides for a $23,285,065 overall budget, and that is lower than last year's, but again, it fluctuates based upon the timing of capital projects and those kinds of things. And again, the overall work program that we move forward with. And it's a balanced budget. We've shored up the finances of the city somewhat through the process this year, and in anticipation of some of the additional challenges that we would have. And we do meet all of the reserve requirements that are imposed as part of the city code and council established policy. So staff does recommend adoption.
Okay. Council?
I think it's worth mentioning, though, that the decrease is about 32%, so
Yes, it
He has
is.
mentioned that.
we're looking at a 32% decrease from last year.
Now, that takes precedence over the last expenditure, it was an increase.
That's
We're
right.
doing-
Double
All in all,
digits.
we're doing great. Anybody else? Good to go for public? Anybody like to say something else?
Mr. Mayor, just probably out of an abundance of caution, open the public hearing.
That would be good.
That's really close enough.
First off, Mr. Randalls, I want to steal your statement about vision in the budget, and I'm going to use that at my budget hearing Tuesday night. Thank you. I did review your budget, and being a finance person, those things are very cool. I think y'all are on a good job for maintaining good reserves and good budgeting to benefit the citizens, and I just want to recognize you for that. Thank you.
We do get recognized not only by people like you, but we get recognized by GAAP.
I've seen your audits, yes.
That's what- But thank you for paying attention. Very good people do that. Okay, council, bring it back to us, we'll close public hearing. Anybody else? Council? Anybody has anything they want to say, or we go for a motion?
If there's nobody wishes to add nothing to it, and I don't want to step in front of it, but I would certainly move to adopt ordinance number 14-2017. And this is the second reading and public hearing that we just finished.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Randalls and a second by Councilwoman Walsh. Would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Brown.
4.
Mayor Hope.
4.
Mayor Pro Tem McMillan.
4.
Councilmember Randalls.
For the motion.
Councilmember Walsh. 4.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our agenda. We move into reports. Betty, you want to start down on your end, please?
Sure, I don't really have any reports. except that I know that we just went through a hurricane. I personally felt that this hurricane was worse for me and for some of the properties that I manage on my personal property than Matthew. And I think that our city did a tremendous job. The staff, our fire department, our police department, everybody involved in handling the situation, keeping our residents safe, communicating effectively and efficiently, working very well with the emergency management group with the Brevard County and the state. And I know we've got a lot of emails through the process. We got a lot of tweets and Twix and all this sort of stuff on our phones. They were beeping and humming. Anybody that signed up, and if you haven't signed up, you should really sign up and get that information on a timely basis. But congratulations to all. This was a tough one for us. Looks like Hurricane Maria is at least steering away from us at the moment, but as we know, hurricanes are finicky. And we are only in the middle of September. So please continue to be safe, everyone. Hopefully you haven't had any or much damage, and hopefully all your family and your loved ones are safe and your property came through okay. Because some people did have some damage. But we're Cape Canaveral strong, so to speak. So thank you, everyone.
That's much more eloquently than I could say, so thank you, Betty.
Yeah, I also want to concur city staff and all the hard work they did. And special thanks to the first responders. I know they went with their family and they were having to go out in the hours that we were boarded up and in our house. They were on the roads and in the department, fire, police. And I just want to thank everybody for all the hard work that they did to make us safe.
I think it sometimes comes down to what you don't notice. I didn't notice that my bathroom breaks were interrupted, which was nice. I didn't notice that we weren't in the newspaper, or I did notice, but I think most people didn't notice that Cape Canaveral wasn't in the newspaper, which is usually pretty nice, because usually when you get in there, you did something really bad. So it's a lot of the stuff that we didn't notice that keeps the city running every day, but I noticed. Thank you, guys. Can we have a kind of a really brief update on what's going on with the hurricane stuff now? Of what we're doing, how we're doing, and where we're going?
Certainly, we're still probably some of us are trying to stay awake mostly. I think I'm feeling that way myself tonight, for whatever reason. But quickly, right as of approximately now, 100 tons of storm debris has been picked up by our provider. We're projecting, our service provider, WastePro, we're projecting and anticipate early October we should be completed with the debris pickup. We do need the community to cooperate with us in their piles, yard waste and hurricane debris, fences and other items in separate piles that need to be dealt with. We've temporarily opened Manatee Sanctuary Park as a drop-off point for individual residences only. So that's a possibility. We got that approved by DEP historically in the past, and this time we exercised that option, and we'll see how that works out for us, if it's really essential or not. Beyond that, the city did have some damage that we're dealing with. The lift stations, some damage at the plant itself, to be expected with, depending for sure, somewhere 16, 17 inches of rain in a relatively short period of time overwhelms and tends to overwhelm systems. But all in all, we weathered very well. We did have some damage, of course, the usual with street signs and stop signs, traffic signals, and those kinds of things. And our lighting, if you will, on North Atlantic, and we'll be looking into those. There will be an after-action staff meeting discussion where we'll bring ideas to the table on how we can further improve our responses and the way we do business. And see, again, harder is the name of it, to further reduce any potential losses from the city facilities point of view. I will say this, that the staff absolutely did an outstanding job. We had great cooperation and communication with our contract agencies as well, and I think that these kinds of things are a team effort. I am a team member, and again, I'm just very, very proud of I'll speak for the city employees, those that I'm responsible for. They went above and beyond and really showed their commitment to the community. Many of our employees have had considerable damage at their homes, and they made themselves available and reported into the city and really set their problems on the shelf. And we can't certainly ask for any more than that, and they ready, willing, and able, and work their tails off. I'm really impressed with them. Yes.
Hey, I don't have anything.
No, I just have one more
You
thing,
through?
sorry. No, I'm not done yet, sorry.
Oh, come on.
I just wanted to, I was gonna pull another item because I noticed that we are, for our landscaping and our pest control and all this other stuff, and I just looking from the top down on a bird's eye perspective of what we're doing as a city. I spoke with Public Works, and they explained to me that our vision moving forward is to, essentially what we're doing is we're spraying the grass and trees to grow the trees, kill the bugs. We're spraying to kill the bugs because we're spraying the grass to grow the grass because the bugs like the grass. So essentially, and trees. So essentially we're farming for insects, but we're trying to control them by killing them just for a nice view. I looked at our budget. We spend $10 a year in maintenance to do Zero Escape Park in the bug spraying control stuff, and that is probably 80% more than everything else that we do. So it's my understanding that we're going to move forward to try and incorporate more of a Zero Escape theme of plants that want to live here and like to live here to A, save money, and B, make life easier for everybody. So I was happy to see that. I was going to comment on the budget there, but keep the city looking great, save some money, and stop dumping fewer stuff into the river would be wonderful. So just wanted to recognize that and bring it up.
That's a big thing to recognize, and that's been the goal, so thank you. Public Works doing a great job with.
No, I'm done.
Billy, you got something?
I just have one more thing to add. I really think, I really want to mention that Florida FPL and the City of Cocoa worked their butts off to get people water and electric. I mean, they really, really were out there doing everything they could. And in our community, which is so important, we had businesses, our small businesses were opening their doors and trying to help residents through the storm, right after the storm, with anything they could, even if it was just giving them ice, giving them free ice because the water was shut off for a period of time. So kudos to our businesses here, because without them, it really helps make our community the community that we are here today. So thank you for all those businesses that stepped up and helped all their neighbors right here in our community throughout the storm.
I witnessed a lot of neighbors helping neighbors. Didn't even know the people, they didn't know each other. I saw instances not only in Cape Canaveral, but all throughout the whole county area. I move around a lot during the day. I get all over the place. And I just saw things that I couldn't believe people did. There was one business, and I won't mention the name of the company, I'll be plugging them, but it was a roofing company in Rockledge that put a blurb out on Facebook that they had plywood. Home Depot was out, Lowe's was out, everybody was out of plywood, everybody scrambling around. And he put a blurb on Facebook that he had plywood, it was free. Come and get it until it runs out. And he had given away some 330 sheets of plywood.
Wow.
And that's almost $6,000 when you figure out what he gave away. And I thought that's a guy that's in business, making a living, but he's helping his community. And it wasn't only to the residents of Rockledge, it was anybody. And there was people and I talked to the guy, and he had people that were complaining about not being able to get enough. And then people argued about jumping in line to get ahead of the cars in front of him. And he said it was a fiasco, but it was worth his efforts. But those are things that I just think is appalling to people to do that, to step forward and help their neighbors. And he helped people he didn't even know. So it was all over the county. But in Cape Canaveral, I applaud our crew, our manager, I was in meetings, and we were proactive and ready to go before that storm ever got here. And St. Martin was devastated, Barbados was devastated, Barbuda was devastated, and our Kimmy was down in Bucks Bay, St. Martin, and she lost everything she had. And she's back in Cocoa Beach again. And I've yet to see her, but I've talked to her, emailed with her and talked with her, and she's fine. She survived, but she's devastated. So I applaud everybody in our city. We were very proactive. This city survived. Very little. We did have a lot of damage, but it's minimal. But there was a lot to do to the efforts of the staff and our city manager. I applaud him. I don't have any more to say. I do have an open floor to the EMS people over there. Mr. Sergeant, I know you were always quiet, but welcome back. Had a good time in the
I'll speak
Keys.
on both of our behalves.
So you're going to speak for him tonight, huh? Come on up, Linda.
I'm the new one on the block, so I have to speak for him. And I didn't plan Miss Penny, who's sitting here. I worked with her at the school district. It couldn't have worked out any better that she came tonight to give her positive comments.
We all know who you are, right?
Right. Commander Linda Morrow's here. I'm your commander of Canaveral Precinct, and for the city manager who decided to leave while I decided to talk. And mayor and council members, just wanted to give you a little bit of an update of what happened and the perspective from the public safety standpoint, and to give some public recognition to some of those that truly deserve it. We are very fortunate that we came through the storm the way we did, just like you just said, Mayor. We did have some significant damages, and when our public safety team, both Canaveral Fire Rescue and the Sheriff's Office, when we ventured out from sheltering in place well before citizens got their feet on the ground, we saw some significant devastation to our apartments and to our residences, and we were the ones going up and praying and hoping that those citizens did that mandatory evacuation, because we had roofs that were literally in bedrooms and in living rooms. And I'm very proud to say that we had no injuries for the storm. Those that left under the mandatory evacuation did so knowing that hopefully they did, knowing that their homes and their community would be safe in our hands. We were on patrol. We had extra patrols out for that. We also had no reported burglaries or any type of looting that occurred in our city. And I do believe that that was based on our deputies that were out there in force. Everyone that moved at night and during the day were stopped and asked, identified, and we captured their information just in case something did come back and say something. So between my team and Chief Sergeant's team of deputies and fire rescue, kind of like Councilmember Brown said, we left our families. We stayed here from Sunday through Tuesday, not knowing if our homes were okay, but that's the job that we signed up to do. So I was very proud of our teams working together and wanted to give them public thanks for that. Also, after everything else was done, prior to the storm, I'll give thanks to our city staff, because we scrambled last minute knowing that our intersections were going to be without lights. And if you saw in our city, and I don't know if you traveled to any other cities post-storm, every intersection that we had in our city had a stop sign on a barricade to remind our citizens and those traveling through our community that you need to stop if a light is not in operation. We had 0 crashes in the city of Cape Canaveral based on us putting stop signs out and us enforcing that stopping. That was not the case countywide. We had significant traffic crashes at intersections that did not have power because people failed to stop. So I give kudos to our team here at the city that scrambled around last minute to how many barricades do you need, how many stop signs do you need. I don't even want to know where they got them from, but they found them for me. And if anyone's missing stop signs, we'll get them back shortly. But,
A lot of cities are missing stop signs.
Okay, it worked, and we kept our citizens safe and those that travel through our city safe. And so I wanted to give public thanks to everyone in the city that worked so diligently to give us the resources we needed prior to the storm, so that we could deploy those right after the storm and ensure that our traveling citizens were safe in our community. Many of you were aware or saw, or Lord knows it was tweeted and everything else that Betty described there. We had our National Guard through the city of Cocoa and through the state come in and provide water for our citizens. We were a distribution site, and I will give thanks to Craig Technologies and Carol Craig. I made a couple quick text messages and phone calls and says, do you mind if I use your business to set up our distribution site? Because in our opinion, from the public safety side of stuff, it was the best for our citizens and those traveling into our community right on A1A to get in and out of a parking lot safely, not in a park, not where somebody didn't see them, especially if they're coming from another jurisdiction. So wanted to thank Craig Technologies for, she says, whatever you need, you've got it. And so I wanted to give her some thanks. And also to thank our National Guard that came in to man that position and to provide water to not only our citizens, but citizens from Merritt Island or Cocoa Beach that were closer here. They did an amazing job doing that. Everyone was polite coming through. They were very thankful. And also to give some public thanks to my crew who loaded up lots of water in their patrol cars, delivered them around to our residents that either didn't get the messages because they're not signed up, as you said, and or they were just too busy trying to take care of their homes post-storm, where we drove around and delivered about 400, 450 cases of water personally to the citizens from our deputies, and we gave out approximately 3,000 cases of water at our distribution site, whether to our residents or other residents that came in. So wanted to give them that as well. We had no injuries prior to the storm with those setting up. We had no injuries post-storm. And that is, I think, is a true testament to those neighbors helping neighbors. We had young, old, as we went around checking on residences and stuff. It was very nice to see our community coming together and helping each other, being sure that if someone's place was destroyed, could they come and stay in theirs until the storm truly did pass, those last few hours of the storm. So it was very nice to see from our standpoint, because we don't always get to see the good. We typically get to see the bad. And in this storm, with the exception of one individual that was having some issues post-storm, and we weren't able to get an ambulance over here, we actually had to load her up and take her with a medic and a K-9 deputy in the back of the K-9 truck over the bridge, because we couldn't get an ambulance here to transport her to the hospital. The winds were not died down enough. So we were able to use Chief Sergeant's team and my team and get that woman to medical attention so that she was able to survive a situation that unfortunately she had put herself into, but it had nothing to do with the storm. So just wanted to, and what, I forget who was talking about, the business owners. A lot of the business owners came together for the public safety side because they knew that, one, their freezers were probably going to go out, and they knew that we were going to be stuck here having to feed our teams, and they eat a lot, even more than my high school son. So I do want to thank a lot of our businesses that came forward and said, is there anything we can do for you? Is there anything that we can provide for you? They were a great support for us, so that when we did have to feed both fire rescue and deputy sheriffs, that we had a little bit of extra support and to give them, because if we take care of our guys, they'll take care of us, and that was my philosophy going through that. So just wanted to thank the city manager for his amazing crew, and again, thank our citizens for doing the right thing and watching out for each other during the storm.
Linda, we would like to thank you for your leadership. Without that, guess what we would have? But thank you very much, you and all your people, and Dave and our rescue. You guys did fabulous. Thank you. Hey, anybody say something? Or just Win, say something, whatever. Hustle? Done? We're done.